Hi, my name is Dilip Ramachandran, the founder of NIMI, a premium product development agency where we support fast-growing companies with full-stack developers, test engineers, and product and payments advisory. I'm also the author of this book, Gangsta Vision. I wrote Gangsta Vision because many of the people I've mentored over the past few years have told me, hey Dilip, I feel bored. I feel a bit stuck. I don't know what I should do next. I'm thinking about management. I'm thinking about leadership. Maybe I want to go for this product leadership role. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get there. And those are the questions that I had in my own career. And I don't think there are easy answers out there for this. The answer is really unique to each person. And so I wrote this book, Gangsta Vision, as a way for someone to read these stories, go through these frameworks and these tools to figure out what's next for them. And if leadership is what is next for them, how can they get there? And the book's full of that. And as I've launched the book over the past couple of months, I had a launch party here in Oakland, and a good friend of mine, Puneet, said, Dilip, you should make some videos. And I've never done this before, so I'm doing this. It's very awkward for me, but I'm going to go for it. I did 3 book launch events, and I did 3 readings of the book. So I think people don't want to read books. That's okay. I'll read them for you, and you can listen to it. So that's what this is about. All right. So this is, again, Gangsta Vision. We're looking at chapter... What chapter is this? I'm not going to record this again. I'm going to go with this. Chapter 7, Evolving Your Craft. And this is the section that's titled Tactic Number 3, Communicating Like a Boss, on page 117. Okay. All right. Let's go. You are the stupidest PM I have ever worked with, said the CEO of Ferris. You might remember this story from the introduction. My conclusion was that the stakeholder community wasn't getting it. To my surprise, the CEO's conclusion was, this guy has no clue what he's doing. My manager suggested I take my CEO's concern seriously. But wait, how was this possible? I was now a director of product. I had a serious title. How come I was labeled as stupid? I should have been given autonomy to do what I wanted. I shouldn't have felt micromanaged. I don't deserve this. Despite working extremely long hours and stressing every single minute detail of each feature, I did not feel valued for my efforts. Ferris had a culture with a weekly operating review meeting. It was a strange meeting. Whoever presented prepared to be skewered by the CEO. So the product team created a distributed schedule of presenters. So each of us would be sacrificed at the altar fairly. We believed in equality. The day came for me to take the stand. I was excited to share my efforts, and the very specific features are meticulously designed based on real customer feedback. I was humiliated by the CEO's response. It ate at me all night. And I'm taking a pause here from the reading. But when you kind of work really hard and put yourself out there, and you feel really great about what you've done, when a leader in the organization, not just anybody, but a leader, somebody who's the top of the chain in the company, doesn't like it or dislikes it, it makes you feel really bad. That's how I felt that day. Back to the reading. How come nobody saw all the late nights I had pulled? What about the weekend plans I canceled because I needed to work on one more thing? How come none of this was recognized? Was I not being appreciated? Should I just quit? At the same time, Allah and I were trying to have a baby. I thought, Dilip, you can't quit. Figure this out. This was a wake-up call for me that something was wrong with my communication. You see, early in my product management career, I benefited from solving problems scoped down for me in terms of responsibility. Whether you acknowledge it or not, this is what your manager does for you. Managers provide direction and air cover, helping you be the absolute best product manager you can be. Specifically, your managers are doing a lot of work to get buy-in from the rest of the organization on larger initiatives. They break projects down into achievable bodies of work based on your skills and strengths. By the time it lands on your plate, it has been sized for you to focus purely on execution. As you grow into your role into a senior product manager, especially at the group or director level, you are now expected to build senior stakeholder buy-in and communicate your strategy effectively throughout the organization. I had to change the way I worked. I reviewed the documented history of the meeting notes for the previous product operating review meetings. On the surface, it seemed like none of the product managers could satisfy the stakeholder community. I couldn't see the underlying trend. Or maybe all the product managers were failing at the same thing. At that moment, I realized that the problem wasn't the colors and the layout of the product, but rather that we were never involving our stakeholders in the design process. It was clear to me that the most influential stakeholder was the CEO. I needed to build credibility with him to get anything done within the organization. I stopped contending, opining, and arguing, and I left my ego at the door and started listening actively. The CEO shared his stories from his time in consulting when he created game-changing products. Aha! He had a point of view, and he did not feel heard. He needed a mechanism to participate in product design. Since we didn't have a design team yet, and tools like Figma weren't invented yet, I had 24 hours to try something completely different. I created UI components with pencil and paper. The CEO loved it, and this initiated a journey of respect, empathy, and compassion, helping us create and launch incredible products at this company. As you already know, product managers need to prioritize initiatives with constrained resources to create the most long-term value for the business. To make decisions about priorities, you need to know about your product, industry, competition, and last but not least, your customer. A lot of product managers find it sufficient to make priorities only based on the input of the product engineering teams. They actively choose not to seek input from the other stakeholders in fear they will slow down the process. Suraj Patel, my manager and mentor from Comscore, shared a very interesting story about a product manager on his team who really struggled in the early days of transitioning to product management. And here's a quote from Suraj in the book. Oops. I hired Akshay as a support engineer. He was really focused on solving problems, and so customers really loved him. It was a natural fit to transition him into product management. But for him, prioritization was impossible because he really wanted to do everything. As a South Asian, he was raised to be reserved and conservative. He didn't know how to weigh what the engineering told him versus his boss, or the executives, or the sales teams. He had to build the empathy to consider all of the input and distill that into a meaningful list. Akshay built this empathy by using pragmatic marketing's important happens in the office framework. This is a process in which people who design products or services for customers go out to meet them, ask them questions, and determine exactly what sorts of problems those customers have. Akshay wanted to really understand the pain points of the end users of the product. The result was a more confident and well-informed product manager who invested in the platform to communicate better with stakeholders and customers. That's the end of that section. And there's also a going gangster part in the book. I'm learning to use the camera here. And there are some additional tips. If you face the situation, right, where you feel that you're not really including the stakeholders and so you're getting friction in the process, it's not just about designing the product. You got to ship the product. You got to get it out there. And you got to participate in the process of getting alignment across your stakeholders. So there's a lot of different tips in here, such as defining members of who are the stakeholders? Sometimes we don't know that. Like, define that. Using a lot of public communication if possible. Forget the private channels. Forget the private email messages. Communicate publicly as much as you can so that if somebody is a naysayer or doesn't agree with you, they can raise it sooner in the process than later, not when you're almost done, ready to ship your product. Record demos, and now in a fully remote environment, using a Loom to share, updates more frequently. 30-second videos, 45-second videos. People can just chime into the process and just get aligned, and they feel, hey, I'm involved, I'm included, and it'll just really help you ship your products with success. And communicate the strategy. Explain what it's in it for them, for each person in the team, right? All the senior leaders across the stakeholder organizations within the company. Figure out what's in it for them and communicate to them what's in it for them. And that's part of the job. That's part of the job of product management or anybody who's trying to be a leader. Okay. If you like this reading, I don't know what you say, like comment or ask questions, comment or like the video, share it with others. If you'd like to learn more, get the book Gangsta Vision and read the book. And if you think you would do something differently, also comment below and share your ideas and let's discuss it. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.